Guys, welcome to my channel. Today, me and Saint are going to be talking about attachment dysregulation and how I learned to heal this. Watch this video. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, please click the little subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications when I release new videos. And if you've been with me for a while, thank you so much and welcome back. Good boy. I want to talk about a really important subject today. They're all really important, but this one has been on my heart a lot, and this is attachment dysregulation. Any of you who've had an attachment trauma, you've probably watched some of my videos about highly sensitive people and attachment trauma. Anyone can have an attachment trauma, but a lot of highly sensitive people specifically have it because we don't feel that emotional mirror growing up with one or both caretakers. We sometimes have different emotional needs, and when those don't get met, we have this emotional neglect, or maybe you had a parent that was emotionally unavailable or emotionally immature. Whatever the case, you grow up with probably, in my opinion, an anxious attachment. And when you're anxiously attached, it's very easy to fall into attachment dysregulation. Anxiously attached people come into a lot of fear when there's a threat of abandonment or even perceived abandonment because they never had that consistent attachment. And when we didn't have that consistent attachment, there was always this fear of being left and not surviving. So this is a survival fear that comes up. So what it looks like is we'll get into relationships that sometimes look like intense love. I did a video on that recently. But often what that turns into is a little bit of a toxic love addiction type thing. And the reason we go for the intense sort of love is because we want to make sure that it's going to be there for us and it's enough and it kind of makes up for the void. But also, people who are in intense love or love addiction often have a codependency part of it. And when people are codependent, they falsely feel secure because they need me so they won't leave, and you need me so you won't leave. So now we're attached, but it's not healthy. So what I want to talk about today is we often go into that so that we don't have to feel depression or anxiety or go into perfectionism or risky sexual activity or substance abuse or shame and anger, all the things that come up when we're dysregulated, when we feel detached from someone, disconnected. I have a lot of female clients who tell me about feeling disconnected from mom when they're young and panicking over the thought of being disconnected from their husband or boyfriend or partner now. And so this disconnect, what it says in childhood is, if mom disconnects, I won't survive. She needs to feed me. She needs to nurture me. She needs to clothe me. She needs to drive me. She needs to be there with me and help me regulate. And so when we didn't have that secure attachment and therefore fear of not even being able to deal with our own emotions, because it's so much when you're being abandoned or perceived abandonment is even huge, we fall into needing another person to help us regulate our emotions. So that attachment dysregulation is when we're not being regulated from a positive attachment. And me, myself, had this, I think, in some way years ago. And what ultimately helps us, instead of always needing to attach, right? That becomes dependent. Now we're dependent on that person. So now I'm conditional. I can't just be who I am all the time because I need someone to attach to. A good example of this is when you're in an amazing relationship, or what you think is an amazing relationship, and it ends, you'll notice if you have this dysregulation because all of a sudden when they are not talking to you or ghosting you, or if you just decided to not be together, it usually happens right away, you all of a sudden don't know what's going on. Your emotions are completely overwhelming and out of control. Like I said, you can have that anxiety, you can have that depression, you can have this feeling of needing this coping mechanism to escape this terrible, dysregulated feeling. That's when you know you have attachment dysregulation and you're looking to attach to a substance, to a person, to an activity, to something to take your mind off it. And what we really need to be doing is attaching to self. And I said this in a video recently, is we need to have secure attachment to you. And what that means is inner child mothering. Instead of othering, we need to be mothering, right? Some of this might be a review for you if you saw my video recently. But we need to mother. And what that means is when we start to dysregulate and have emotions all over the place, what we need to do is become the mother we needed. And one of the ways I like to teach people this in session is I'll put myself in their position. I'll ask them their advice for me. So I'll say, hey, this is what happened. Whatever their scenario is. My boyfriend left me. I started freaking out. What should I do? And every single time, because it's not themselves, and they're not dysregulated because of the emotions that come up from being disconnected from, they're clearly able to give me advice and tell me what to do. And I said, great. Now we're going to flip it, and you're going to do that. And people are like, I don't know if I can. I don't feel stable enough to do it. And I say, you don't feel stable enough because you've never done it. But if you start to do it consistently, we regulate our inner emotional self. This dysregulation is an inner child wound that never learned how to anchor, self-soothe, regulate, and feel safe in the face of being left, abandoned, rejected, threatened. It's that survival, fight, flight, or freeze. I gotta go. Mine used to be that. I was a runner. I'd be like, I gotta go. I gotta exit. I gotta get out of here. And what I learned is the opposite. I need to sit in it. I need to sit, not feel it all and go into the depths of hell, but to sit and say, I'm okay just sitting still. This person may be leaving, or maybe I'm leaving, or whatever is happening where I'm feeling dysregulated. What do I need to feel safe? And when we have this attachment issue, we often say, I need someone else to hold my hand. You'll notice how if someone else is in your house or in the room and you're going through something, you feel better. Why is that? Because when we have trauma, it's when we're suffering and we're alone in the suffering. We aren't traumatized when we're with someone else in our pain. So what I want to try to help you guys understand is we don't always need another person to regulate us. We can actually be with ourselves, self-partner. And it takes time and it takes a lot of practice. But what I've done over my life, and it's kind of impressive when you figure it out and you do it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is okay. You're not afraid of being alone, because we don't feel lonely unless we're not with ourselves, right? We can be alone. I'm alone a lot. I actually like being alone. I actually love being around people too. But to be alone in your pain and to master that is monumental, because then you stop choosing partners and compromising something just to be with someone. You know what I'm talking about if you're watching this video. How many times have those of you who've had dysregulation, emotional dysregulation or attachment dysregulation, how many times have you found yourself knowing I'm about to be with that person even though they're not all these things that I truly want? I just need somebody so I can regulate, relax, and calm myself and function. As long as you know what you're doing, you can little by little push yourself out that door into a new way. And that new way is recognizing, okay, I'm trying to do this to regulate, but I'm not going to compromise what I truly need. So I'm not going to get super deep with that person, but I'm going to maybe call them and ask them to sit with me while I process instead of connect with me and be my person forever, right? We think we need that to survive. We don't. Do you know how many people I have on speed dial? I know when I tell my groups this, they start laughing at me. I'm like, no, dude, you guys, I had a problem last night. I had 3 people on speed dial. Not enough? I got 4. And people laugh because they're like, you need people to regulate? We all do, but we don't need that one person that we like, you know what I'm saying? That love addictive thing. We don't need to do that. We can be our own person. We can help self-regulate and then know what we need. Call a friend. Do a meditation. Have all these options where you know I can actually depend on myself to regulate my emotions. And once you start trying it and it's successful, you're going to freak out. Because you'll be like, why haven't I done this all these years? And the reason is because no one ever taught you how. But also when our parent is not emotionally regulated, or they wouldn't be detaching from us in very unsecure ways. But if our parents are not able to emotionally regulate, they ain't going to be able to teach us how to do that. So we're constantly looking for externals to soothe our overwhelm. And what we need to do is go in and be with it in a way where we realize, I can handle this. I'm not going to die. My life isn't in threat. Truly isn't. It feels like it is, though. So I want you to validate the fact that it feels bad, that bad. But when you realize it feels that bad because you were 5 when you were detached from, right? Or you were 7, or you really needed mom and you were 11, or dad, or whoever, and you didn't have anybody, those inner child wounds are not resolved, or you wouldn't have this. So how we resolve it is becoming that parent. You guys have heard me say it a lot, that reparenting. Becoming the parent that helps us regulate our emotional state so we're not looking for other. We're becoming an inner mother. It is such a big deal. I'm going to be doing more of this in my courses coming up. I should mention emotional rehab, which is 101 for this stuff, is open right now. Class will start January 2nd. If you're out of town because of New Year's, you can start whenever you want. You're not going to miss anything the first week at all. It's just a meet and greet. So we start January 2nd. You can find that link right here. You can sign up below. There are 3 different payment plans. So don't worry about that. If you've already done emotional rehab, please do shadow work. Shadow work is next level healing advanced class. It's amazing. Mother wound, father wound, tribal wound, all the things. You get your power out of your golden shadow, your dark shadow, all the shadows. We talk about it all. It's huge. Do shadow work, please. If you've done those, or if you haven't done those and you're looking for coaching, you can't really afford it, but you want a small group, Inner Work is launching February 1st. There's a wait list for Inner Work below. There's a wait list for Boundaries Bootcamp below. And the Truth Room is happening every single Friday. That is my monthly membership for highly sensitive people. We discuss all this stuff every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that will continue year round. I hope you'll check out some of those fun offerings. I hope you'll share this video with at least one person. And I know you guys are killing it. Thank you for doing the work, for showing up for yourself, for me, and the collective. We are all in this together, and I'll see you next week.